There was a woman named Isabel who carried a thorn in her heart. The thorn was old, deep, planted years ago by someone who said they loved her but left scars instead. The thorn was betrayal, abandonment, words spoken in anger that carved themselves into her soul. For years, Isabel tried to remove it, tried therapy, tried forgiveness, tried pretending it didn't hurt, but the thorn remained, sharp and present, a constant reminder of the wound. She became hard, built walls, pushed people away before they could plant new thorns. Stopped trusting, stopped hoping, stopped believing that anything beautiful could grow from something that hurt so much. Her life became small, safe, guarded, because if nothing got in, nothing could hurt her. But nothing could reach her either. No love, no connection, no joy, just the thorn and the walls and the loneliness that came from protecting a heart that had stopped beating fully years ago. One spring, Isabel walked through a botanical garden, searching for something she couldn't name. Peace, maybe. Beauty. Proof that the world held more than pain. She stopped at a rose garden, hundreds of roses, blooming red, white, yellow, and pink. Despite the thorns covering every stem, and she realized the thorns didn't prevent the roses. They protected them, guarded them, made them possible. An old gardener approached with weathered hands and gentle eyes, commenting on their beauty. Isabel agreed but noted their pain. All those thorns, yes, he acknowledged. But the thorns weren't the enemy. They were part of the design. The rose needed them, not despite its beauty, but because of it. The thorns protected what was precious, vulnerable, worth protecting. He gestured to a rose bush. This plant knew something we forget, that pain and beauty aren't opposites but partners. The thorn makes the rose possible, because without protection, without the sharp edges that keep predators away, the rose would be destroyed before it could bloom. Isabel felt tears burning, but what if you only felt the thorns? What if all you knew was pain and you'd forgotten how to bloom? The gardener smiled sadly. Then you've been focusing on the wrong part. The thorn isn't the story, it's just the chapter, the protection, the scar tissue that formed around the wound. But beneath it, the rose is still there, waiting, not dead, just dormant. And it's ready to bloom again, if you let Italiano. He led her deeper into the garden, to a section she had seen roses, growing from the strangest places, from cracked concrete, from burned wood, from soil that looked dead. These roses grew from damage, he explained. From fire, from drought, from conditions that should have killed them. But they didn't die. They adapted. They used the damage as fertilizer, as foundation, as the thing that made them stronger. He knelt beside one with a twisted, scarred stem blooming brilliantly. This rose was trampled years ago. Someone stepped on it, broke its stem. He thought it was dead, but it wasn't. It healed, crooked, scarred, different than it would have been, but alive. And now it bloomed more beautifully than the roses that were never damaged, because it learned something they didn't, that survival is sacred. But scars are proof of strength, that the things that try to break you can become the things that make you extraordinary. Isabel stared at the rose, at its twisted stem and brilliant bloom. She felt something shift. The thorn in her heart, she'd been treating it like a foreign object, something to remove, something that didn't belong. But what if it did? What if the thorn was part of her now? Not the wound, but the wisdom, the protection, the proof that she survived. When she whispered how to bloom again after everything, the gardener's answer was clear. Stop trying to remove the thorn and start building around it. You don't forget the hurt, you transform it. You let it teach you, strengthen you, protect you, and then you bloom anyway. Not in spite of the thorn, but because of what it taught you. Isabel went home and stopped fighting the thorn. Stopped trying to dig it out. Stopped pretending it wasn't there. Instead, she asked it questions. What did you teach me? What do I know now that I didn't before? What strength did you force me to find? Slowly, answers came. The thorn taught her discernment, boundaries, self-protection. It taught her that not everyone deserves access, that trust is earned, that love without respect is manipulation, that she's worth protecting. Isabel realized the thorn wasn't destroying her yet. was guarding her, making sure the next person who got close was worthy, making sure she never settled for less than she deserved again. She started opening up slowly, carefully, but opening. She let people in, not everyone, but the right ones. The ones who understood that thorns weren't walls but wisdom, that scars weren't flaws but stories, that a woman who'd been hurt and healed was more beautiful than one who'd never been tested. Isabel bloomed, not the same way she would have if she'd never been hurt. Better, deeper, stronger, more vibrant. Because the thorn had forced her roots to go deeper, had forced her to find strength she didn't know she had transformed her from something fragile into something unbreakable. Years later, a young woman came to Isabel, broken and carrying thorns, saying she didn't think she'd ever be beautiful again after what happened to her. Isabel took her hand and led her to her garden, to the roses she'd planted, twisted stems, scarred, but blooming brilliantly. Every one of these roses was damaged, broken, left for dead, she explained. But they didn't die. They transformed. They used the damage as foundation. And now they bloom more beautifully than roses that never suffered, not despite the thorns, but because of them. Isabel touched a scarred stem gently. The thorn in your heart isn't a corsetza, teacher. Protection. Proof that you survived something that could have destroyed you. And if you let it, it'll make you extraordinary. Not by removing it, but by blooming around it. By letting it strengthen you, guard you, remind you that you're worth protecting. She looked at the young woman with knowing eyes. You're not broken. You're becoming, and the thorns you carry aren't the end of your beauty. They're the beginning, because anyone can bloom in perfect conditions. But blooming after damage, after pain, after thorns, that's not just beauty. That's power. That's transformation. That's proof that you're stronger than anything that tried to break you. The truth is this: you carry thorns from people who hurt you, from experiences that scarred you, from wounds that never fully healed. And you think those thorns make you ugly, damaged, unworthy of blooming? But you're wrong. The thorns aren't destroying you, they're protecting you, teaching you, strengthening you. They're the wisdom earned through survival, the boundaries learned through violation, the self-worth forged through betrayal. You're not broken. You're a rose that learned to guard itself, that developed thorns to protect what's precious. And those thorns don't prevent your beauty, they make it possible. They ensure that only the worthy get close, that only the deserving get to touch what you've protected. So stop trying to remove the thorns. Stop pretending they don't exist. Stop believing that hurt disqualifies you from beauty. It doesn't. It deepens it, strengthens it. Makesi Trial. You're not despite the thorns, you are because of them. And the bloom that comes after damage is always more beautiful than the one that never faced the storm. So bloom. With your thorns. With your scars. With your twisted stem and hard-won wisdom. Bloom anyway, not in spite of what hurt you, but because you survived it. Because you transformed it. Because you refused to let the thorn be the end of your story. The thorn became protection, and the protection made the rose possible. And the rose is you scarred, guarded, but blooming. Finally, beautifully, powerfully, blooming.